As it is necessary for one to become very active in family life, similarly, after retirement from family life, it is necessary to control the mind and senses. This is possible when one engages himself fully in the devotional service of the Lord. Actually, the whole purpose of the Vedic system, the Vedic social order, is to enable one to ultimately return home back to Godhead. The Grhastha ashrama is a sort of concession combining the sense gratification with the regulative life. It is to enable one to easily retire in the middle of life and engage fully in austerities in order to transcend material sense gratification once and for all. Therefore, in the Vanaprastha stage of life, tapasya or austerity is strongly recommended. Maharaj Prithu followed exactly all the rules of Vanaprastha life, which is technically known as Vaikhanasa ashrama. The word Vaikhanasa susamate is significant because in Vanaprastha life, the regulative principles are also to be strictly followed. In other words, Maharaj Prithu was an ideal character in every sphere of life. Mahajano yanagata sapantaha. One should follow in the footsteps of great personalities. Thus, by following the exemplary character of Maharaj Prithu, one can become perfect in all respects while living this life or while retiring from active life. Thus, after giving up this body, one can become liberated and go back to Godhead. Tatrapya davya niyamo vaikhanasa susamate arabdha ugra tapasi yatasva vijaye pura. Translation: after retiring from family life, Maharaj Prithu strictly followed the regulations of retired life and underwent severe austerities in the forest. He engaged in these activities as seriously as he had formerly engaged in leading the government and conquering everyone. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, Maharaj Prithu was an example in two ways. When he was family man, when he was a king, when he was Grhastha, when he was engaged with the world, and also when he was taking renounced order of life, or he was actually in the Vanaprastha stage, which is in between Grhastha life and sannyas. So he was exemplary in both ashramas. So he is now in Vanaprastha ashrama, and Vanaprastha ashram is meant for austerities. And I have done some research about Vanaprastha ashrama in Srila Prabhupada's teachings, and he doesn't recommend that one goes to the forest, because he recommends to travel and preach for the modern day Vanaprasthas. Now, Kali Yuga people are not inclined to do austerities. So there is different kind of austerities one can do, like physical austerity, mental austerity, emotional austerity. And Kali Yuga people are not inclined to do this. Kala Shudra Sambhavaha, in Kali Yuga, everyone is Shudra. And Shudras are not into austerities. Now, when you grow older, you are forced to do austerities. Once, my former wife asked Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, how can we become renounced from eating? And he said, when you grow old, your digestion will become weak and your teeth will fall out. So he didn't say you will, if you chant Hare Krishna, you distribute books, you will become very renounced in a few years. But he said, when you grow very old, then you will be forced to become renounced. You will be forced. And when you hit, maybe not 50, but 60 or 70, then you can see that, I become a little bit more renounced. So it's forced renunciation. Now also, Vanaprastha can be taken with a wife. If you stop, home life, if you stop different kinds of self-gratification, then one can take Vanaprastha with his wife. Or one can take a Kshetra Sannyas, that means he stays in a holy place with his wife and practices devotional service, visits the places of pilgrimage, and engages in worship, especially in chanting the holy names of the Lord. So human life is divided, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas. If you live 100 years, or if you live 80 years, then 20 years brahmachari, 20 years grihastha, 20 years vanaprastha, in 20 years sannyas. But it doesn't always work like this. But four fourths of life can be divided like this. And now we see for modern people, if you say renounce at 50, they say, it's too early, I'm too passionate, I'm still passionate. Then say you renounce at 60, no, I'm still too young. Okay, we can renounce at 70. Well, that's better. Now, in Grihastha life, you have this sense, I have so many duties to do. Children have to grow up, I have to marry my daughter, we need money. We need to somehow try to be happy in family life. There is some satisfaction of thinking, this is my wife, this is my children. You feel somehow fulfilled. For example, some people feel that their life is not fulfilled if they don't have a wife and children. But some people don't have this feeling. They think that life is completely perfect without family, or at least without children. So, I remember my father called me one day. It was maybe 20 years ago, or 15 years ago. And he said, you know what? With you, our family stops because you have no children. So why don't you have children? Now, I don't know why he said this, because my brother has 2 children from 2 wives. But maybe because I'm the elder son. And I said, you know what? I feel that everybody is like my child. Not that I have to have a child that comes out of the body of my wife and then I think this is my child. Oh, everybody is somebody I should serve. Everybody is somebody I should support. He didn't say anything. Never ever he brought up this point. But people feel that if I don't have a husband, if I don't have a wife, my life is just wasted. But if you look from the point of view of eternity, this is just a very temporary thing. I mean, it's like 50 years or 100 years you have your family and then you die and you have no idea where you go. and where they go, and so you're satisfied with something that is temporary. And when we hear this philosophy, then we understand, oh, life is eternal, and I have been born so many lifetimes, and died, and born, and had difficulties. And now, I'm in a life where I have a chance to make a significant spiritual advancement. And also, we dream of self-gratification, but we don't remember that we were enjoying like anything in heavenly planets. Most devotees come from the higher planets, and we had a much better enjoyment than this enjoyment here, on this planet. In this planet there is a mixture of hellish and heavenly circumstances. But in the higher planets you can enjoy a lot, much more, a much better standard of sense gratification. And then people try to create heaven on earth in different ways, like beautiful gardens, having heavenly women dancing. And so they try to imitate heaven on earth, but it doesn't work. You create heaven in Bahamas or Hawaii, and because people there are even more sinful than in other places, then the natural catastrophes can come more severe than in other places. So they are forced to have severe austerities. Sometimes, the wind blows away their new house. They just built it. It completely blows it away, especially if it's a wooden house and it's easy to blow for the wind. And they are crying and they have no place, and they go to some shelter, like a group shelter, and they try to have a new beginning in life, starting from zero, starting from scratch. And sometimes devotees tell me, why can't I have normal life like everybody else? So what is normal life? Like people are happy. I see people are happy. They're eating meat, drinking coffee. They have their family. They're happy. But what will be the result of their activities in the next life? All these sinful activities. And you are struggling so much. You cannot get a husband. If you get a husband, he's not good. Or you cannot conceive a child for some reason. You're not fertile. You desire so much and struggle so much to get some normal life, some so-called enjoyment. And if you get it after many years of struggle, then you see that there are so many problems and you are not happy. And it's not like you have imagined. And sometimes you have a little happiness, children playing around, they are speaking broken language. They say, Mama, Daddy, and your heart is melting. And you think, oh, it's so nice. My child is so dependent on me. Then as your child grows, expenses grow. Then the child wants a car, or they want money for the university for studying, or they want to go to America. So my stepdaughter, she wanted to go to America, to Vaishnavi girls' school. And I was very poor always, so I took a loan from the bank. It's 8,000 pounds, but actually I have to give back 12,000. So for 5 years I was trying to pay back this this loan. And she went there, she was there for a year and a half, and then school closed. But she had a nice experience. She was distributing books, she had morning program, she was cleaning the temple, she was cooking, and even she gave classes. She gave a couple of classes. And So I didn't regret this, but it was very hard to pay back this loan. And then I said, never ever again I will take the loan from the bank. And also, I met a Muslim gentleman who was working in NatWest London Bank. He was so kind, he showed me some tricks how I can reduce the debt, the loan. So I saved probably about 2,000 pounds by this trick of taking a new loan, paying back the old one, and then paying back the new one. Something like that. So he's amazing. His name is Ahmed. I will always remember, and he was so kind to help me pay it back more quickly. So you take a loan, also mortgage. You pay mortgage whole life. You have paid mortgage for the house. 100 years you have to pay back mortgage. Even maybe your children after you have to continue paying back mortgage for your house. I said to one Mataji that she wants a nice family life, and I said, I cannot help you with that, but I can help you to become a preacher. And she said, no, I'm a simple woman, I just want a nice family life. And I said, well, I cannot help you with that, because I myself was not very successful, and I don't believe it, that this is the goal of life, to have a peaceful family life. I mean, peaceful family life doesn't exist. You cannot have peaceful family life. You can have a family life, but it cannot be peaceful. Okay, if you have good karma, maybe you can have some peaceful. Because the forest fire starts on its own. You don't have to invite forest fire. It starts on its own. Okay, so would you like that I speak or we discuss what is this sense gratification that we have in family life? Because here it says it's combination of sense gratification and regulation, and regulated life. So you can say, well, maybe I can have a regulated sense gratification, but it is said even attachment to regulated sense gratification is not good. So in the temple you have to accept what is prepared by temple cooks, but in your house you can cook whatever you like. So is that an advantage of having your own place? or you can, maybe your wife is a good cook, or maybe you are a good cook. And sometimes ladies are very happy that husband cooks. Some husbands don't cook, because they can have a break from cooking. Some years ago my mother told me, I'm tired of cooking, and she's cooking for like 70 years. 70 years. Since she was 10, I think. 80, 70. And washing pots. But she never stopped it, she always did it, but she just told me she's tired of this. She would like to go somewhere where other people have cooked, like in the hotel, and then she can just take the meal without having to cook. She was always cooking since she was a child. So you can have your own pizza or whatever preparations you like at your home. You can have your TV. People have TV, plasma TV, big screen. And you can watch, in the beginning, Krishna conscious movies, but then later maybe a little bit something related to India, or remotely related to India, or something that is more like about yoga, or something that is maybe some universal wisdom, or maybe a Christian movie like Jesus of Nazareth. And slowly you expand the movies that you watch. It's not always Nilachale Mahaprabhu, Bhaja Gorango, Bhaja Gorango. Because you have only one movie, Nilachale Mahaprabhu. But now there is more movies, and then you have to expand, because it's boring if you only watch one movie. So you have to expand your selection of movies. But this also becomes boring after some times. Then you want to have peace. but children are screaming, especially when they're smaller. You want to read Prabhupada's books, but the child is pulling you, Daddy, let's play, come here, and I have to tell you what happened in my school. This child was pulling my ears, and I punched him, then he punched me, then the teacher came. Then they come back with bad marks. They come from school and you say, why do you have bad marks? Well, I don't know, it's boring. I cannot learn this. Then your wife says, we need more. Of what? Of everything. We need a bigger car, we need a bigger house, we need more money for for the holidays. Also holidays, you have to go on holidays. I never went on holidays in my family life. I don't remember. I never went on holidays somehow. We were always having so many things to do. So then you can have a huge philosophical discussion what is illicit sex. People they say there is levels, there is standards, there is Prabhupada gave this, but maybe we are not supposed to follow this, but there is some in between, and Christians are not happy. There is one book called Shameless, and they want to reduce the standard of sex in their religion, because their preachers tell them only in marriage, and only when you are married, not before. And for them that's too much. So they say, no, this creates traumas. This creates psychological traumas. So people discuss what is illicit sex, only with your wife or not, or once a month or not, and all these things discuss. And sometimes they don't discuss because it's a taboo topic. So better just do whatever you feel like. But if you look at Srila Prabhupada's teaching, he was very clear. He sometimes say, just become a gentleman and live with your wife, and people think, well, that means I can do it with my wife. Yes, but also he said, don't get attached to regulated sense gratification, and he explained what is regulated sex life. He explained that, but people are just plucking their hair. This is impossible. It's impossible. So then you can choose your own standard, and if one of the spouses says, I want to be strict, and the other says, no, I have this need, and I want to have some enjoyment, and then they quarrel, and then they divorce, maybe they don't want to have the same standard about this, and what else? What else you can enjoy? You can go maybe for a holiday a little bit, but on the holiday also there are so many problems. Children want that you buy them everything they see, all toys, all ice creams, and ice creams are with eggs. So how will you explain to them that all other children are licking ice cream and I cannot eat because I'm a Hare Krishna? Then they start to hate Krishna consciousness because they cannot get ice cream. And whatever restrictions you impose on them, and then you feel bad that my children don't get what other children get, and then children start to play games, or they start to watch TV or internet, and then you cannot stop them. Then whole day they are looking at the screen. Then you take away the phone, but then they get nervous breakdown. Then you give them back the phone. And as a family man, you always feel you're a failure. You're never good enough. You're never good enough for your kids. You're never good enough for your wife. So it's a great experience. It's preparation for Vanaprastha. And when you are ready for Vanaprastha, when you think and feel, never, ever, again. Now I have seen couples and I have seen families work well, despite all the ups and downs and problems, and they are supportive, they love each other, they support each other. This is also possible, but it's rare, it's very rare. It's very rare. So I asked Purandara Mishra Prabhu from Viareggio in Italy. He is 70 years old, he has 5 sons, and he's still with his wife. And I said, Prabhu, what is the secret of long marriage? So you see a couple, they are together for like 50 years, and you think, wow, this is amazing, how they have done it. And then if you ask them, they will tell you, oh, you have no idea what we went through. One Bhaktin was telling me that when her boyfriend took a knife, wanted to slaughter her. And she said, then I also took a knife and I wanted to slaughter him. So this was part of their loving relationship before. So maybe you ask a couple, how did you make it for 50 years? And they say, well, you don't know, we wanted to kill each other in the beginning. Or maybe a little later. But somehow we are still together. And I asked him, what is the secret? And he said, patience. Patience. So in family life you think, I'm going to change my wife. Why? Because I'm a change agent. You know change agent? One who brings up the change in society or in people's lives. Then you become a preacher, you become a savior of people, you become like a great Mahatma, you are helping people like anything, and you can help everybody except your family. Everybody loves you, but they hate you, because you are not fulfilling their desires. You don't have understanding for their desires. And you want to feel good about yourself, you want to feel you're contributing, you want to feel you're a great guy, you're a preacher, you're a teacher, you're a coach, you're a counselor, you're a mentor, you're a friend of all living entities except your family. Because they see you as a jerk. They know all your anarthas, they know all your weaknesses, you lose it with them, you start shouting like anything. Otherwise you are very peaceful. You give a class in the mode of goodness, but with your family you lose it. Some so-called brahmanas even beat their wives. And even this is going on for some time because wife doesn't want to tell it for some time. And then you find out, wow, I would never believe that this Prabhuji, he's beating his wife. He's such a wonderful devotee, gives amazing classes. All Matajis laugh, and Prabhus laugh when he gives classes. Very funny classes. He's so witty, he's so smart, and he speaks about deep stuff, you know, and we are shocked. He gives amazing lectures. And when you ask his family, they say, get him out. He's a jerk. He's useless. No money, no understanding, no patience. He doesn't love us. So in this way, there is always sand in the sweet rice in the material world. Always sand in the sweet rice. And this is good. It's good. Otherwise, we become attached in the material world. And we think, well, maybe I should repeat this and get born again. The great German philosopher Johann Wolfgang Goethe said, they asked him, if you would live again your life, what would you do? He said, I would do the same thing. So he's so intelligent. He was reading Bhagavad Gita and he said, I would do it again. So he likes it. Maybe he's already born. Yeah, he was born. I don't know where is he now, but probably somewhere in the material world. He didn't go back to Godhead, I think. He was so intelligent. I read all of his books when I was young. Very attractive. He has a combination of philosophy and he's also romantic. This is me. You know, combination of philosophy and romanticism. And very deep and very interesting. And he's also a little bit humble. And, you know, he's amazing. But he said, I would like to repeat again, to live the same, similar life or same life again. So this is foolishness. This is foolishness. People, Srila Prabhupada describes exactly this in the Bhagavad Gita purport. He says the person in the mode of goodness, which is mixed with passion and ignorance, he becomes attached to sense of knowledge, sense of peace in the material world, and he likes to do it again. So we are so fortunate that Srila Prabhupada gave us the broader picture of what's happening, and he gave us a new goal, and he told us where we are coming from and why we are here, and we are so lucky at least to know theoretically what is illusion. We may still be attached emotionally to have this same illusion as everybody has. So people say, I'm suffering because God is cruel. God is so kind to others, but God is cruel to me. We are not suffering because God is cruel. We are suffering because we are in illusion. And we don't understand what is happening. So now Prithu Maharaj, he has gone through family life and everything he had to do, but even in family life he was Krishna conscious, and he was performing in an amazing way. And so Krishna conscious person can be Krishna conscious in Brahmachari phase, Grhastha phase, Vanaprastha phase, Sannyas phase. He's Krishna conscious in all these phases. Why? Because he knows what is his duty in each phase. So we have to be clear what is our duty in each phase, and then do this as our Varna Dharma, Ashrama Dharma, Varna Dharma and Ashrama Dharma. And then we can perform these duties and be Krishna conscious in any situation. So therefore it is said, Grihetako, Vanetako, Sada Hari Boledako. You know what it means? Grihetako, Vanetako, Sada Hari Boledako.
Grihe, something with the Grhastha life.
Okay. Vana?
Forest.
Vana is forest. Vrindavana means forest of Vrinda. Sada Hari Boledako, Sada, what does it mean Sada?
Everything or always?
Yeah, Sada means always. In my language, Sada means now. Now, Sada. Sada means always. Hari Boledako?
Hari Boledako. Hari. Bol.
Chant Jaya Radhe. Always. Always chant the holy name. So whether one is Grhastha or Vanaprastha or sannyasi, he should always engage in devotional service, which is headed by chanting of the holy name. So he was successful in both ashramas because he was serious about spiritual life. So if even if one is a Grhastha, he can be serious about spiritual life and he can perform his duties properly. And even if his family members are not perfect Vaishnavas, still he can do his best to support them in their life and fulfill his duty properly. And also, you can have a good relationship with your wife. You don't have to always fight or whatever, but it requires effort. So we have seminars by experienced Grihasthas and books who explain how to have a good marriage in Krishna consciousness. It will not be easy, there will be back and forth, but if the goal is the same, if Krishna is the goal, then they can always find a solution and always find a way to help each other and move forward in Krishna consciousness. So I'm not against family life, I'm not against children, but it's not easy, and it's a field where you can really blow it, make a lot of mistakes, hurt your family members. So one has to be a very loving father. Prithu Maharaj was like this, a very loving father, and try to support his family or her family. nicely, even if they're not perfect, and see what they have a free will, see how far they want to go in Krishna consciousness. Facilitate that, and they will definitely, they're already getting so much mercy. And sometimes wife is more Krishna conscious, sometimes husband is more Krishna conscious. So whoever is more Krishna conscious, they can support others and help. So now, Srila Prabhupada recommends that we follow in the footsteps of Prithu Maharaj, and Bhaktivedanta Swami has written a whole book, which is, most of the book is about Prithu Maharaj. This is his second book on leadership. I remember when he was writing it, he wrote me, when he was writing that book, he asked me, what do you think about this? But at that time I didn't study this. Is it fourth canto? Yeah. I didn't study so much the fourth canto. So what do you think about this point from this, and what do you think about this point from this story? And I didn't even have time to look then, when he asked me to look more deeply into this. But if we study slowly, very carefully, like we went through the 22nd chapter, and we learned so many things from this one chapter, when Kumaras and Prithu Maharaj speak. So thank you very much for listening. Do you have any questions?
I have a question. What is the purpose of marriage?
Gradual purification. Because you still have attachments, so there is some space. Krishna knows you cannot jump from hedonism, to renunciation or to bhakti. So, but there is still attachment to the material world. So there is something like leeway. Yes. You want to say something? Answer this question. What is the purpose of family life? Okay.
Yeah, I think I said to other people it's bringing up children in a Krishna conscious way. That's what I said.
Yes. Yes.
Like
I mean, what is the purpose of anything, including family life? To me, the purpose of anything is to love and serve. So you have, Prabhupada said, I left my 5 children, but I have hundreds of children now. So you want to be a sannyasi, you want to be a guru, you want to be renounced, and then you get disciples and you have now more children. You have like 50 children, 100 children, 1,000 children. They're all your children. They're spiritual children. But you can take care of a couple of people, which is your family. A couple of kids, your wife. So you always have to serve somebody. So the purpose of anything is to love and serve. To serve with love, or love and serve. And if you see your family life like this, then you will make the least mistakes. Otherwise, if you think, oh, this is just a duty, this is just a duty, I cannot wait that this hell stops. I cannot wait that this hell stops. This is not a nice attitude. No, God has given you few souls to take care of them, love them, serve them, support them. If you cannot love them, leave them. I don't recommend leaving, but if you try to actually love your family. Try to love your family and serve them with love. Even if they are not perfect, then you are also not perfect. So you can't expect them to be perfect also. You can't complain. So always there, Krishna is giving us someone whom we need to serve. If you live with devotees in the ashram, for example, you have devotees around you, so you can serve them. They are like your brothers and sisters. Sometimes you see devotees as children, if they're younger, your children. There is always family. If you go to live alone, then you have, tigers and bears. You can preach to them in the Himalayas. But otherwise, there is always some people around you that you have to serve and support. So in the family, it's the same. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, she was before you. She raised her hand before you.
Okay. Can you give us an example which are the famous great devotees take Vanaprastha.
Pray to Maharaj.
Also, Maharaj.
I mean, there are stories in the Bhagavatam. You know Agnidra from the 5th canto. Agnidra? He wanted to actually renounce, and then they told him to get married. And Manu came and Brahma came, they preached to him to get married. So he got married. Sometimes you want to take Vanaprastha, but they say no, you should get married. Or we want to, like brahmacharis. Sometimes Daksha was planning that his children become all Prajapatis. Then Narada Muni came and he brainwashed them all. he made them, they become his disciples, Haryashvas and Savalashvas, 10,000, 1,000 disciples. So who else was, we have Bharat Maharaj Bharata. He went to the forest, started to meditate, but he got attached to a deer. So you can become Vanaprastha and get attached again. Who else? You remember? Huh? Who? What he said? Pandavas. No? They went to the forest? Mahaprasthana. This is, you walk until you fall dead. Is that like this? You walk until you fall dead. Vidura.
But it's also not fully, it's not because of Vanaprastha. We as an aim. It's nothing to do with Vanaprastha.
My ex-guru was preaching Grhastha Brahmachari. Grhastha Brahmachari, that means Grhastha who follows regulative principles, isn't it? He has sex only for children. So this is as good as Vanaprastha. Or Prabhupada said, if you work in a factory and you give all your earnings for Krishna consciousness, you are as good as sannyasi. You're as good as sannyasi. So because family life is not bad. I mean, in the spiritual world we also have a family. We will also be part of some family. So family is always there. But if you want to take a break from family, you go to the forest. And don't associate with any human beings, just with trees and some insects, and maybe a couple of tigers and bears. You get fed up with people, Animals are so cute. Or you bring your dog. One of my mentor coaches, Mr. Such and Such, he said, when I come back, my dog is so happy to see me. He's happier than my family. Then he said he has like I don't know how many millions frequent flyer miles, you know that? He flies so much that he has this discount, and so frequent flyer means he flies a lot. And he said, they asked him, so how much do you travel in a year? He says, I'm always traveling. And he said, my wife is very happy because most of the time I'm not there. I mean, he's now old person, but he's always joking like this. So most of the time, he has a huge house, amazing house in California, near Bill Gates. They are neighbors, I think. Bill Gates are the savior of the world. He's with vaccine. savior of the world from coronavirus with vaccine. He wants to save all of us. So he lives near him. He is the richest man, or one of the richest people on the planet. So this coach is so rich that he lives in this area where actually such people like Bill Gates live. He's never there in his house. He's always flying. His wife has this house, but I don't know if she lives alone. Or the kids are not there. The 2 kids, they're not there. And also, I just want to mention this. He coaches executives, and then they say, "Well, I'm like this. I'm a rough guy in my job, but at my home I'm different." And my mentor coach, he says, "Really? Can I call your wife?" And he said, "Sure, you can call my wife." And he calls his family. They say, "Yeah, he's the same at home." Because the coach was hired to help him change behavior, a job. To help him change behavior, a job. And he thinks, "No, at home I'm a different person, I'm a family man, I'm very nice." And he calls his family and they say, "He's the same." So, it's very difficult that your family appreciates you, because they know all your weaknesses. Once, when I was young, I was always criticizing authorities, including my father. And he was saying, and I said, well, he was saying something, how his children don't respect him. In the car he was driving. I don't know if my brother was there. And I said, well, if you would be a better example, we would respect you. He was shocked. He didn't understand where he makes mistakes and where he is not a good example. For example, if he gets a little drunk, then, the way he behaves. Then also, when he is hungry, he is grumpy, very grumpy when he's hungry. And when he eats, then he becomes a good man. When he satisfies his hunger. So yeah, but you can try to be an ideal father and ideal husband and wife also. And also, ladies have always this fear, I'm not good enough. I coach Prabhus and ladies have more this fear, I'm not good enough. I have to be a perfect daughter, I have to be a perfect wife, I have to be a perfect partner, I have to be a perfect sister, and they suffer because they think they are not good enough. Perfectionism. I have to be perfect everything. So don't think like this. You just torture yourself with this kind of thinking. Okay, so yes, is that okay? Yes?
It's okay. Thank you. So 2 questions I have. The first question.
2 questions.
Small, short questions.
Okay.
So the first is it necessary to get into Vanaprastha ashram being married together with a husband? And the second question is it enough to accept Vanaprastha being on Shuddha Sattva level, because it is Mahaprastha as well too? Or shall we get her? Shall we get high? Because the next level is sannyas.
First question, there is ladies who are single and they become Vanaprasthas. I mean, you have seen them in ISKCON. There is ladies in ISKCON like this, like Mother Devaki, Mother Narayani.
But she was divorced, not because of getting Vanaprastha. She was divorced because she hasn't managed to have a married life. That's why it has not.
But still, she is living by Vanaprastha. She is living by Vanaprastha. And then, but second question I didn't understand.
So the second question is Vanaprastha ashram, should it be Shuddha Sattva level? Because Shuddha Sattva is not transcendental, it is also Mahaprastha.
Shuddha Sattva is transcendental.
It is not absolute. Shuddha Sattva is not, it is Vasudeva level.
Shuddha Sattva is pure Sattva, that means transcendental level.
Absolute transcendental level. Shuddha Sattva.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after Shuddha Sattva, what level is coming?
There is nothing of the Shuddha Sattva.
So then my question is, Shuddha Sattva should be to accept the Grhastha, Vanaprastha ashram, or we can do it just simply being on Sattva level?
Well, I think you don't, even if you are not on the Shuddha Sattva level, if you accept Vanaprastha, you can get purified. I mean, you start practicing more austerities and more preaching. So it doesn't mean that if you accept Vanaprastha, you are already perfect and you are already on the Shuddha Sattva level. There can be some mixture of passion and ignorance still there, but at least one should be in the moral goodness that is mixed with passion and ignorance. And if we would wait for people to come to Shuddha Sattva, then who will take sannyas, who will take Vanaprastha? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.